This is a BBP News Special Report. I'm Nicholas Rod. Chris Baker's here with me, and we are here with a special report on last night's State of the Union address made by President Biden.
That is right, Nick, and we have a full breakdown of the entire State of the Union, plus the rebuttal by Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, but I think we should just jump right into it.
Sounds good to me. Start us off.
In President's first State of the Union, his main goal was pushing unity across the country and getting as much legislation as possible. Digging right into the details of it, in the 62-minute speech last night, President Biden tried to address the common ground and not dwell on the partisan issues that has divided Washington. Kicking off his speech, he spoke to a top-of-mind concern among Americans of the ongoing crisis between Russia and Ukraine. The first 11 minutes of his State of the Union speech, he condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine.
He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
The president was surrounded by lawmakers wearing the blue and yellow colors of Ukraine and waving the country's flag. The emotional high point of discussing Russia and Ukraine was when President Biden recognized Ukraine's ambassador. The president also announced plans to close U.S. airspace to Russian planes and said the Justice Department will be joining a global effort to go after Russian oligarchs to ties to Vladimir Putin.
We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for you, ill-begotten gain.
Moving on from international conflict, President Biden focused on the economy and lowering costs for Americans. The president said one way to lower costs was by utilizing American manufacturing.
That means make more cars and semiconductors in America, more infrastructure and innovation in America, more goods moving faster and cheaper in America.
During the State of the Union, the president also talked about some pieces of the BBP proposal, cutting prescription drug prices, allowing Medicare to negotiate prices of prescription drugs, and allowing the VA to also negotiate prices for those drugs as well. Reducing the cost of childcare, passing an advanced child tax credit similar to the one families received in 2021. President Biden discussed the cost of insulin and explained that the cost of making insulin is about $10, but the pharmaceutical companies are charging 30 times that amount. President Biden also addressed the COVID-19 pandemic, where it was clearly noticeable that he did not wear a mask at all during the address in the Capitol.
Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line.
President Biden continued to push for a path to citizenship for Dreamers and distance himself from progressive Democrats on criminal justice reform.
The answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them.
During the State of the Union address, President Biden also laid out his 2022 domestic agenda of what he's calling the Unity Agenda that focuses on 4 issues that has bipartisan support: beating the opioid epidemic, tackling mental health, supporting veterans, and ending cancer. His attempts for bipartisan support were ruptured when 2 Republican lawmakers, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia and Lauren Boebert of Colorado, they both yelled, "Build the wall," when he mentioned immigration, and Boebert interrupted again when he was speaking of his son's death, blaming the service members that were killed in Afghanistan during last year's chaotic withdrawal. You could hear her yelling, quote, "You forgot 13 of them," end quote. That drew boos across the chambers, and the 2 congresswomen were criticized by members of both parties.
In his speech, President Biden also mentioned voting rights, gun control, Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson, and thanked Justice Breyer for his many years of service. Critics of the president's speech pointed out that he did not address student loans, abortion, January 6th, and the 13 members that died in Afghanistan.
After the State of the Union, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds gave the rebuttal. Reynolds is the 43rd governor of the state and the first female governor of Iowa. Before governor, she was the lieutenant governor and worked in the state senate. In her speech, she touted her response to the pandemic and how she led her state to be the first to reopen schools. She discussed wanting to take government out of our children's schools and let parents make the decisions. Reynolds also talked about the need to pass voting legislation to prevent elections from being stolen. And throughout the entire speech that she gave, she criticized the Biden administration and called them a failed administration.
Today, President Biden is keeping the tradition alive of going on the road, and the First Lady will join him in Wisconsin, and he will talk about the bipartisan infrastructure law. The White House says he will continue to monitor Russia and Ukraine while on the road.
That is the end of this BBP News Special Report. Make sure you follow us on BBP News' Twitter account for the latest 24-hour breaking news, and we will be back here Friday morning to wrap up your work week.